they're a little bit different in Jackson. So
much of the yesterday, last board meeting, meet the candidate on
they didn't do the flight
YouTube.
The whole thing is, the only thing that went out was the picture went out, but the audio was still there. And then I came around and reconnected it. Somehow it gotten off the camcorder being selected as the source. And the blank shot came on.
The reason I was wondering is because I had a
smoke for an hour. Because somebody asked me to go to sleep.
After watching it or listening?
I mean, there's a whole lot of things you ask me.
From what they heard or the quality of the video?
No, what they heard.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
No, it was meant to do it that.
I'm sure it was. I understand. I gotta slow this down.
I have just undecided, just from looking at what the state wants for state reports. We need to get rid of government. So stuff they're asking for. And some of it is redundant. But, you know, that's government.
I agree with you. I think we should get rid of them.
I mean,
Some things they do is so crazy.
well, yeah, and some of the state reports, why can't we combine it all in one state report? You know, it just,
Yep.
and I haven't even got into half of what they want yet.
Nope. Yep, and it should be all combined.
You know?
Why we duplicate? We do everything duplicate,
Well, yeah, the
triplicate.
government does too, you know. It's not just CDE, it's
Yeah.
everything. So what do you think about Tom Petty passing away?
A lot of heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Did you-
Massive
were you-
heart attack, they said.
There's a lot of heartbreakingness and heartbreak.
Did you see the reports on that? So I get home because I come to work and I'm done because we had no internet. But I get home and it's reported that Tom Petty died. I tell my husband, he said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, he's on life support. They just took him off and he died." And then not 10 minutes after I did that, he was like, "No, he isn't. He's still on life support." And then KOAA posted they rescinded the death report. Like,
Yep.
oh,
That happened.
He's dead? He's not dead? He's and then
He's dead.
the Los Angeles PD said, we didn't confirm anything like that. We didn't take him to the hospital. And they couldn't get hold of his manager. I'm like, okay, this, you know, I hope, I felt sorry for his family. He's dead, he's not dead, he's dead. So now I think he's dead. I mean, that sounds cruel, but I'm like, no, he's dead for sure. There was no more rescinding his death report.
No, it's all over. It's a massive heart attack, what they said.
Yeah, he just got off a tour. My daughter was going to see him last summer because she got her doctor for PT, for physical therapy. Outrageous, so.
Yeah, all the tickets on.
So, on that. Cindy and I went to something, we were doing a hero show on Saturday with the bagpipes and
Oh yeah?
I got a video I'll have to show you.
How was that?
It was good.
It's even better if there's a mist and they're coming across
Yeah,
the green
well, it was
field.
kind of misty, it was cold, it was spinning green, but, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I can let you guys listen to it. You gotta love the bagpipe. You gotta understand that hunting, you know, just, and I love them, I love the bagpipes. I grew up with them, but I think we should have the bagpipes playing here.
That's usually associated with a funeral with the police or fire
Yeah, yeah.
in New York or Chicago or Boston.
Yep. Yep. Exactly.
I know! Never actually. Well, you were there, doing it. You were there, man. I told my I don't know.
We have a couple of chocolate chip cookies and buy something sweet before we get started.
There's her. She's got them set. I read them. Good.
Oh, okay, I thought you had your class and I was sorry. I am.
Tapes or anything? Nice to see you. Hi, Boy Mary.
What?
Hey, Boy Mary.
Do you need another what? Do you need another one? From the other night?
What's that?
No. You ready to camera? Yes.
Sit down.
Who is it? Who has a Ford F-150 white garage?
Color.
Everything out here is dirty, right?
Black is
Is it
Ford
yours?
F-150. I think it's white garage. I think there's someone drank a couple glasses.
Well, at least you won't take you far to walk up.
Is that you guys?
I've never been on this side of the speakers before.
Seems weird, don't it?
You were that last one, weren't you?
I'm going home. Look, my hand, I'm still dead. Okay, now you're making me feel so bad.
I'll show this to you guys.
What?
No, you didn't get the text message.
I did. I didn't see them in with that.
Tomorrow?
We can see what happens.
That's so good.
Is that for you?
It's forever. This one.
All right, with respect to everyone's time, I think we'll get started. I want to welcome everyone to Prairie Heights School within the Hanover School District, as we have a meet and greet with board candidates tonight and answer a few questions. All of the questions do come from community members. Before we get started, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I respect our country. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, so my name is Pat Brzezinski. A lot of you guys know me. I'm the executive director now. The Pikes Peak Bogies was the superintendent of Edison for several years. I know you guys have seen me around at the football games when we've teamed up together with our kids and stuff. So thanks for having me. I don't know why. I just tell everybody I think they just like to hear my accent because I get these deals all the time now. So it's a pretty good gig actually. Miss Irene is out in the crowd, has a packet with each candidate's written response to some of the questions. For anyone watching online, you can find a packet on the district's website. Are we up and running, Dr. Schmidt? Anyone in the audience can get a note card and a pencil from Miss Irene to write a question for the candidates. We've already done that. And we're rocking and rolling. And throughout the question and answer session, if something pops up that you want to ask, get with her, write it on a piece of paper. The questions tonight all come from community or staff members, people that are concerned about kids in this school district. And then it wouldn't be proper without going over the ground rules. Number one, maintain appropriate decorum. Somebody would have to tell me what that means when responding to the questions. If someone begins to speak directly about someone in an inappropriate manner or tone, the moderator, which would be me, will ask you to move on in your response. Kind of my thought on that, guys, is we're professionals every day. We're here for kids. Let's keep it clean, keep it a nice evening. Do not use profanity. If I do, just correct me. Respond to the questions using facts, not simply your opinion. Voters want to know where you stand. They also want to know your positions are based on facts. You'll find out, I've done this several times, these guys sitting out here are all here for one reason. That's for the best interest of the kids that show up here every stinking day, right? Each candidate will be given 1 minute to respond to the question. Dr. Schmidt will be the timekeeper to be sure everyone stays within the time limit so we can get through as many questions as possible. Are there any questions before we start?
I have a fan or something. I have a fever or something.
You don't have to speak up, ma'am. I don't hear real well.
Never mind. Never mind. Okay, didn't know.
So I have people listed in order. As I ask the question, I'll start with the person on the list and then Did it get you hired?
No.
Good.
Tears of laughter. Oh my God.
So we don't have a major problem. I mean, we move on, or do we need to shut down for a minute? Watch when you get up, you don't slip and fall.
Thank you.
All right, so as we start with the first person on the list, then every candidate will get an opportunity to respond to each question as we move forward.
Never mind.
You don't want me to go by your...
You go there and then it goes down.
Okay.
Last time you came down this way, circle back.
That sounds good to me. Kind of like a horse racing track, right?
Yes. Go ahead and say.
Charity. As a board member in the community, people want to share their concerns or issues about staff or daily operations. When you get a concern or issue, what would you do?
Well, my first suggestion, and I would ask if they had taken their concern to the appropriate avenues. Did they discuss their concerns with the teacher, the administrator, the superintendent? And if they had, then I would certainly really listen to what they had to say. And I would talk to Dr. Schmidt and say, look, this is what this parent's done. Why is this not being handled? Why are they coming to me?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Edward. Ed.
First thing I'd do is I'd ask them if they've gone to the teacher, gone to the principal, gone to the superintendent. And I'd still listen to them, because that's what I'm on the board for, is to listen to what they have. I'm not going to give them any avenue where to go, because that's not my job. They need to know who they have to go through before they ever come to me. It's all written in the policies. They can look that up and check that out. But I'll help them in any way I can. But they have to go through the staff, the principal, and superintendent first.
Thank you. Dwight.
I would listen to them, I'd ask them some questions. The key a lot of times when people call, there's emotion involved. And sometimes just listening to them is really what they want. And if it's an issue where, or actually with any issue, in the conversation I ask them, have you talked to the teacher, the principal, the dean, the superintendent, whoever their grievance or their beef is with. And as the conversation's going, I refer them to the appropriate policy where they can file an official grievance and explain to them, your grievance isn't necessarily saying that you're just grieved and really mad. The grievance is what officially starts the process rolling so that something can be resolved with your situation. Because unfortunately, too many times, it's all talk and there's no action. And I think it's important that people are referred to the appropriate place so that they can get the direction so they can take the action. And it may work out and wash out and be something that they're happy with. And it might bubble up to something higher, but we need to help them out so they have the tools and the resources that they feel comfortable with to take care of their objections.
Thank you. Juanita.
Can you repeat the question, please?
As a board member in the community, people want to share their concerns or issues about staff or daily operations. When you get a concern or issue, what will you do?
As a I'm out in the community and somebody says something regarding a child and something going on, I would first bring it to the superintendent's attention so he can follow which direction to go from there.
Thank you. Ross?
So my first avenue, of course, would be to listen to them so I can understand where they're coming from. After that, then I have to ask the important questions. Have you talked to said teacher or staff member, or have you also talked to the principal, superintendent? And as it proceeds, then I would turn around and try to help them navigate through the whole entire process, but mainly it's just the simple fact of listening and seeing if it's something that can be corrected or if it's just something that's a non-correctable thing, as we've had here in the past on certain issues. Hopefully we can resolve everything. But as a board member, you have to turn around and you have to separate yourself from the parents on what they say. You can't muddle in with the activities of the superintendent.
Thank you. And Scott?
Listen to their concern, process what their ultimate goal is, verify that they have followed the proper channels, going to the teacher, the staff member, principal, and then not be afraid to follow up and see if they were satisfied with that result, and if not, help them along in the process till they are satisfied.
Thank you. Question number 2, we start with Scott. Should board members be allowed to go speak with any staff member at any time without informing the superintendent or the supervisor of the staff member?
I don't believe so. On a personal level, yes. But as far as involving a specific student or something happening at the school, I believe that all policies should be followed, and that could be considered conflict of interest. So no.
Thank you. Jerry?
I agree with Scott, no. And it's kind of like managing a business. You put a manager in charge, and what is the whole point if you're not going to trust his decisions and what he's doing? So, no, it's not up to me to go and talk to. Yeah, if they want to come to me if they have issues or if they're concerned that the superintendent isn't handling things right, that's another story. But as far as just taking it upon myself to go and talk to people in the school, I don't think that's right. That's the superintendent's job to know, to determine what's going on in the schools.
What? Sorry.
Absolutely not. No board member has authority to go do this. As a collective, we work together. We don't make decisions on our own. No, that is Dr. Schmidt, principal, that's their job, not our jobs.
Thank you. Dwight?
Every organization has a process to follow, and as a board director, I am bound by Colorado Revised Statute and the policies of Hanover District 28. Colorado Revised Statute explicitly says that the board director only interfaces with the school superintendent. To do anything more is undermining the process. Unless as board members we can effectively communicate and be an intricate part of the process, our district will not be able to perform to the levels that it should be. If we get in there and try to put our 2 cents into everything that the staff is doing, we are directly undermining the superintendent's operational effectiveness, which will cause the teacher to have potential problems with the superintendent. That will rub off on our students, and that will not be in the best sense of our district.
Thank you. Juanita?
Dwight took my answer. I actually agree with everybody on that.
Good answer. Ross?
The answer to that question would have to be no, because as a board, we are to listen to things. We're not to go and correct things. If there's something that is supposed to be corrected, we can bring it to Dr. Smith's attention, or we can bring it to someone else in the administrative section on a teacher so that they can handle it in the way that it should be handled prospectively, and we should follow up.
Thank you. Question number 3, and we start with Juanita. Last week you were asked if you support the mill levy. Some of you responded yes, and some of you responded no. The follow-up question is, how will you vote on the mill levy override? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ross?
I'm still wavering on that decision. Currently, at this present point in time, I have really no way that I'm going to vote on it. I haven't decided yet. It's something that I have to take and process and find out what's in the best interest for not only the school district, but me as a person who has children here in the school and everything else. So I have to decide what is morally right and what is definitely the right thing to do versus just jumping in and saying yes.
Thank you. Scott?
I will be voting yes.
Charity?
Yes, I am going to be voting yes. And just so everyone knows that if I'm elected and I'm on the board and it says and it's voted in, I'm going to make sure those funds are used the way that they're supposed to be used. But definitely yes, I'm going to vote yes.
Thank you. Ed?
As I did last time, I will do so. Yes, absolutely.
And Dwight?
As a district moves forward on their strategic plan and looking at processing that strategic plan, there are quite a few high-reaching goals that this district hopes to accomplish. By accomplishing these goals, the district will remain competitive and excel and become one of the better, if not in the top 5 rural districts within the state of Colorado. We're already one of 9 districts in the entire state that has been recognized as a center of excellence. A center of excellence was achieved with minimal funding. We are currently the lowest mill levy district, school district, our size within the state. For a community not to vote yes on this mill levy would be an injustice to what the district has achieved in their strategic plan. And as a member of this community, I plan to vote yes on the mill levy.
Can I add something?
Say again?
Can I add something or just one sentence?
One sentence and that's it. Just one.
I would make sure that it's not just teachers, but also community members and parents that when it's voted yes, that they all have a say in where the money goes.
Being a mill levy, it's kind of marked where it goes. I just thought of that. So, Ed, I think we'll start with you. How do you think the district is doing in spending money, and how do you know this to be a fact?
That's kind of an unfair question to ask me first, and I'll tell you why. I'm the treasurer on the board right now. That question should go to somebody else first. No?
Does everybody agree to move? Dwight, can we start with you? Or do we want to flip a coin?
Why not
I'll
start
do
with that?
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
You want to know
I'll do
that
it.
he knows, right?
What do I think? One of the things that Dr. Schmidt has very much been a proponent of and has emphasized within the district is transparency. Our district has full transparency in our financials. Based upon the board's direction last year, we actually have a line item budget that the community sees. And by virtue of being able to see, give me the glare, by virtue of seeing that line item budget, every member of the community is able to see where every dollar is spent. Now, it's easy to sit in the armchair and say, that money wasn't spent right, that money wasn't spent right, that money wasn't spent right. But in reality, the key is get involved, look at those line items, look at the budget process. And I've reviewed the budget process, I've gone to the DAC meetings, I look at the budget online, and I can truly say that the money that is being spent within the District of 28 is creating us to be a center of excellence.
I will have to excuse Miss Juanita. She's not feeling real well, so we'll move to Ross.
I feel like that the budget is transparent. We can all see what it is if we take the time. You can also turn around and you can read line by line and see where everything's going. I also feel like there's no way of really improving it that much, because where we are with what we get in as our funds come in, those funds are going towards the things that they need to go for. I can honestly say, yes, it is spent the way it's supposed to be as a fact.
Scott?
As everybody said, you know, the transparency of the district is out there. All you have to do is look, do your research, and I believe that the money that is being spent, you know, frugally and using it the best way that it can be used.
Charity?
Well, I do think, and I do appreciate that funds have been being spent on the curriculum for the kids, and yeah, the financial transparency, you just have to get on and look, but you know, if you gave me time to really go through it in detail, I could probably offer some advice on improving it, but it's just something that I haven't really taken a whole lot of time and dived into in complete detail. So, but yes, I do think that what I've seen in the past couple of years has been an improvement in how our funds are being spent.
Ms. Juanita, do you remember the question?
Sorry.
I'm going to come to you and then leave Ed for last. How do you think the district is doing in spending money, and how do you know this to be a fact?
Well, I don't think they're doing so well. Speaking about the condition that the buses are in and the books are in, and they didn't have a levy last year, so they really didn't have any funds to make it anything better. So I don't know.
Thank you. Ed, do you want to finish up?
Dr. Schmidt and our HR lady from last year, they both got on the website, put a nice thing up there for everybody to see, totally transparent. They've had classes over the YouTube for people. They can look on there. They also printed it and had it where anybody can pick it up at either school. Dr. Schmidt has totally opened it up for anybody to see what's been spent, where it's gone. And I think we've done an outstanding job with what little amount we've had. We've improved classes, we've improved, we got an online class now for students. This is stuff that we didn't have before. We're maintaining vehicles with almost nothing, and we need to replace those vehicles. I think it's very transparent for everybody to see.
Thank you. Ross, you start the next question. Based on facts, how is it that you know whether or not our schools are doing well?
Based on facts, how do I know that schools are doing well? Well, based on the simple fact of the matter, for a small school district like we are, when we have teachers leave, we still manage to get teachers out here. So that says something in general right there. As it stands right now, I know we got, as a fact, 2 new teachers here at Prairie Heights. I'm not exactly for sure how many we have over at Hanover High School. I also know that, as a fact, we have received the Center of Excellence Award because it is posted on the school's website, which I am very well of checking on things that are on there. So that's how I know how we're doing so good as a school district.
Thank you. Scott?
Our test scores have continuously improved, hence the Center of Excellence award by the state. Our community has grown, and we have continued to improve. The kids are getting better, the scores are getting better, and we can only go up from here.
Thank you. Charity?
Well, I've certainly seen improvement in the past year or two, but I don't know that there are any facts to show that our schools are doing well, that we can put them on that well list. But from what I've seen as far as improvement has been a change in attitude. I see the one example, when I was at high school, I saw the poster on mindset, and I appreciated that and that mentality that's being spread throughout the school. And we have some new teachers. We have it looks like our finances are doing a lot better than they have in a long time, as far as how it's being handled. So overall, I would say I really can't. Never mind.
Thank you. Who are we at?
That's kind of a vague question. How do we know we are doing well? Are we doing well in teaching our children to be good citizens? What are we teaching them? That's a very vague question. The way to tell is, are the students coming back? Are they coming back to our district and being good citizens? We've got a teacher right now that just came back, and he graduated from here not too long ago, and now he's a teacher here. And yeah, we're getting qualified teachers. The way you tell if we're doing well is they like to put it up, rank against other students, other schools. That's not how to tell whether we're doing well. Whether we're doing well is how many we got graduate percentage-wise. How many we got really being good citizens. That's how you go.
Thank you. Dwight?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Based on facts, how is it that you know whether or not our schools are doing well?
Based purely on the facts, which are empirical and black and white, our school is doing well based upon our Center of Excellence. And when you look at how we compare test score-wise to the 4 other districts that are within us, we are number 1 in 4 out of 8 testable categories. No other district has 4 number 1s that are based upon our size and how we are. That's the facts. But do the facts really tell the district how they're doing? No. Ed hit that on the head best. It's, are our students truly becoming effective citizens of the district, of the state, of the country? That's the true basis. And if we can continue to create, or not create, but if we can continue to enable our kids, your kids, community's kids, become productive citizens, we are succeeding.
Thank you. Juanita?
Based on facts and seeing what Ed and Dwight have both mentioned in reports and reading what's on the Hanover website, but comparing that to what parents actually say and what you hear from the community, I think they're doing well, but that's just me, that's opinion, that's not fact. So just from what I read, it does appear to be doing well.
Thank you. Let's see here. Now we're going to start with Ed, since we skipped him there a couple of questions ago. What are 3 things the community should see from an effective Board of Education?
Three things. It's in one is we should be pulling and working together to improve the district curriculum. Also to improve partnership in the district, not try to get it to come together, not be separate like we are. And we should be guidance, only guidance to Dr. Smith.
Thank you. Dwight?
The three things the community should know is they should see transparency, there should be engagement from the board to the community, and not just a one-way conversation. There should be an avenue to where it's a unidirectional conversation, and it should be effective, and the community should feel that they should be able to speak to the board, and that they'll be heard. And the next thing would be results. The community should see results of the guidance the board gives to Dr. Schmidt. And those are the three keys for me.
Thank you. Juanita?
Three things. One is being heard by the parents and being able to actually listen and not just hear them. Second, be able to go to Dr. Schmidt as a board, not just one independent member, and make a solution. Three, results.
Thank you. Ross?
Trying to see if I can come up with something different than everybody else. Yes, we should be able to listen to our voters out there. We should listen to them, and we should hear what they have to say, and we should take that to heart. The other side of that coin, that's a fine double edge, because our voters also need to realize that we're just one person. It has to be passed through the board. Second, we also should turn around and we should also follow up with Dr. Schmidt on things that are going on with inside the school district that we can help give guidance on. And the third is, we're always looking for something safety-wise and everything else, and that would be the three.
Thank you. Ross? Or Scott, sorry.
I think that the board being effective would show transparency, continuous improvement, and be the voice for the community. Be the people that the community feels they can go to, and when they bring something to you, you're going to get results. It may not be the exact result that they wanted, but they will be able to see that you followed through and you have done what you can to make changes.
Charity?
So, honesty, integrity, and board members who truly support the community and get the community involved, and just that we show that we are not here for any other reasons than we are basically public servants that are representing the majority of the community and their ideals.
Thank you. Next question, we start with Charity. Some people like to complain, I know you don't buy into that, but some of them do, that the schools or district do not communicate well. Can you identify ways that the schools or district do communicate well with parents and the community?
I'm being asked to identify the ways that they do.
Yeah, identify ways that the school or the district does communicate well with the community.
Well, one thing that I think is great are the text messages that we get with the events that are going on. And obviously, the YouTube videos of the board meetings is an excellent way of communicating with the community. I could give a lot of advice on how they can communicate better within the schools, but as far as what I see right now, what's going on is just letting the community members know what's going on so that people can get involved.
Thank you. Ed?
Dr. Schmidt sent out little postcards to the community, informing them of things that was going on, asking them for their opinion on a couple of topics. There's always a letter printed and sent at the office, both offices. The students also get letters with theirs to bring home. A lot of them don't get home, I know that for a fact. But the students are given those letters. There's text messages, there's phone calls. I've been in the office where I've watched the ladies do these, text messages and phone calls. Even the teachers are texting and calling parents, not just principal or superintendent. Teachers do it, and emails. I get emails at least once a week from teachers now.
Thank you. Dwight?
The district is doing a phenomenal job communicating in the last few years than they have in the recent years. I've been involved with the community. My son started 5th grade here and he graduated last year. So there was some darkness within the time where there was no communication. The only thing we had to look at was a website. But in the recent history, there's the postcards that go out, there's a newsletter that goes out in color, there's robocalls that are done for events that happen, there's text messages, and there's also, the school has a presence on Nextdoor. And then from the teacher side, the teachers have a wonderful program called Class Dojo, which is kind of like an educational Facebook, where the teachers can post all the homework, parents can ask questions. And I know one teacher within the elementary school has 18 of 22 parents that are active on the Class Dojo. And that's a great way to communicate.
Thank you. Juanita?
Yes, the Class Dojo is awesome. There are a lot of elementary teachers that I know of that are using it. I've had distressful days, and I first used that app to approach the teacher. She got back to me, and things were fixed within 24 hours. There is also Nextdoor, private messages, but I haven't seen the postcards sent out or newsletters or anything like that, but robocalls and things like that I have gotten, and it seems to help everybody come together.
Ross?
I do like the fact that the school district is involved with the Neighborhood Watch program, so that's the Nextdoor app for people who were confused on what was being discussed on that. We also use the Class Dojo. I currently have 3 children here in this school, actually right here at Prairie Heights Elementary, and I get text messages from them all the time. And it's normally pretty good things. We do send out flyers, we do send out postcards, we do the robocalls, we do the text messages. And they are all wonderful tools, and they help the parents understand things that are going on. And we also have other organizations who try to also enlighten the neighborhood with activities just in case those things haven't got out.
Scott?
Not to be the dead horse, I mean, we're using the Nextdoor app, all the social media, Facebook, everything. But I also feel as though I could walk into the school at any time and speak to anybody and get a question answered.
Thank you. And we're about halfway through. If anybody needs to take a drink or whatever you can before we move on. We good?
I'm good.
Yeah, I got it on my system.
All right, we start with Scott. Do you feel our schools are safe? What should be done to make them safer?
I do believe that our schools are safe. I've never had an issue or concern as far as safety with my children. Again, you can always improve safety, but we are kind of budget limited on that. We have gone through the process and the ridicule of the possibility of having armed staff. I support that. And in that, I don't know what more could be done to make the school safer. They're always locked. I mean, we don't need to go as far as, you know, putting gates up or anything like that around them. Just more awareness and making sure that if you see something, say something.
So, I do not feel that the schools are safe. And one thing that bothers me about, well, the elementary school, the biggest thing is the playground. I do not feel safe with my daughter playing on that playground. I already had one child break a leg on it. The other thing that bothers me, and that's the reason why my daughter is not at the high school, and that's why I took her out January last year, was because I did not feel safe with her going to school because of the bullying, because of the stories I've heard about the way the different students act. So that has to be gotten a handle on for the schools to be safer, for one thing. So there's a lot of improvement that I think need to be made for our schools to be safe.
And our schools have made great leaps and bounds in safety. There is more room for safety, always. We got a dean of students, which drastically made it better down the hallways over there. As I said last time, the students aren't lollygagging in the halls. There's not the horseplay around there. They're not running up down the halls now. It's a lot better over there. There's always going to be bullying. I don't care where you're at, not just school, even out in public. But this bullying has really drastically stopped over there. If you walk down those halls, it is calm. They're good. To make it better, we need to find a way to keep our counselors. We need to find a way to even bring in more by passing the mill levy.
Dwight, would you please repeat the question?
Do you feel our schools are safe? What should be done to make them safer?
Safety is really a relative term. The question is actually very vague because it's not talking about personal safety. It's not asking about physical safety. It's asking about safe. So I'm going to address both of them quickly. Safety is actually, from the Navy I learned, safety is actually not something that you do. It is something that you live and breathe. Safety is a culture. And cultural shifts are some of the most difficult things ever to do within a society. We're fortunate to have a strong need of students that is addressing that cultural shift to help eliminate the bullying, to help the kids. The other asset we have is we have a phenomenal maintenance department that is ensuring that our buses are safe and that our facilities themselves are safe. Because that's something that's always or often forgotten in an organization is these walls cost money to keep up. And we need to ensure that we provide them the adequate funding and timing. And again, safety is, in essence, a way of life and a culture.
Charity, I'm sorry about what happened to your daughter. And I understand the position with the playground because it was an issue as well last year, but I voted no on the mill levy. Not that that means anything, but I understand what the mill levy means now and understand what the money could do to make the playground better. As for other safety, the door's locked. We live in an area with lots of military and lots of guns. I know that's not the answer to everything, but I think it's pretty safe.
Ross?
Yes, I feel we are in a safe school district. There is always places of improvement. There's always something that we can do to improve it. I do like the fact that the doors are locked at both schools. You have to be buzzed in to come in. You also have to sign in to come in. I mean, pretty much when I walk in there, I feel like I'm going into a courtroom, to be honest with you. I check everything, my personal self, to ensure that I'm not breaking none of the safety standards for the school. I also turn around and I look out for kids who are outside via whether they're coming from the library over there, coming back over here. If I'm in the parking lot, I'm making sure that I'm looking at everything that's going on, and I'm not gonna let someone harm any of our children.
Time. All right, thank you. Next question, we start with Dwight. How will you demonstrate good character within the community and in board meetings?
That would be by living up to the policies, following the CRS, within the board meetings, following the decorum, Robert's Rules of Procedures, and treating people as they wish to be treated. In the community, that's the same way. Everyone deserves mutual respect. Regardless of anything, we should all respect each other. Our lives are too valuable, their lives are too valuable not to be respected. So I think, for me, the thing is to let my character shine, treat everybody with respect as I would like to be treated, and the rest just kind of falls into place.
Juanita?
Demonstrating character in the community and the board. Just being fair and being open and honest, being able to listen to everybody, to hear everybody, be fair. The same as with the board as in the community. Just treat everybody as you want to be treated.
Ross?
Character's a tough question, because everybody's got some. Problem is, where do we lie in that? Where I stand in my character is, if I see someone stopped on the side of the road over here, broke down, I'm gonna stop and ask them if I can help them. That's just my nature. Here at the school, if the teacher's having a problem with the classroom, I'll ask if I can intervene to distract said child. Normally it's mine, so it works really well. And then, so you have to look at character in several different factors, like have already been said. You got to treat people with respect and the way you want to be treated. That's hard to do for some people because they want things to be their way and just their way alone. I let my character speak for itself.
Scott?
Treat people with respect, the way you want to be treated. Be neighborly. As well as when you're approached, be approachable. Let them feel as though they can come to you and that you'll get them results. Or you'll at least bring the issue that they have forward so that they feel as though they have a voice.
Charity?
As far as characters on our board, being respectful is obviously very important. Integrity, honesty, abiding by the laws and board policies, and keeping in mind what our positions are and why we're here.
By doing what is right when no one is watching. There's a quote over there at the school, similar to that. That's not exactly what it says, but your character is how you walk through this life. Okay, it's everything you do, say. It's everyday walk. So it doesn't matter whether you sit here and put up this facade for everybody to look at. They're going to know what you really are or who you really are once they see you and talk to you every day, because it's how you walk through this life.
All righty, next question, and we start with Ed. School board members' own children Should school board members' own children be required to be enrolled in a school district? School board members' personal children, their own children, should they be required to be enrolled in a school district?
Be required to. There's no law says that you have to. All you have to do is live in the district to run on the school board.
So Dr. Smith says, should a school board member's personal children be required to be enrolled in Hanover or Prairie Heights? So this is I didn't type this guy, so don't shoot the messenger. So should they be required, if you're a school board member in short, should your kids be in this district?
There's no law that says you have to, but I feel that you should, yes.
Thank you. Dwight?
The law, when you become a school board member, nowhere in that oath do you forgo your rights as a citizen. Every citizen within the state of Colorado that's also a parent has freedom of choice to where that student of theirs attends school, anywhere in the state. So the answer is no, they should not be required to. But my caveat to that is, if there's a reason their student doesn't come to this school because of the school, not because of what other opportunities might be there that this school doesn't offer, or even so that, if that member of the board should work to resolve that for all students. Because if I become a member of the board, my student is not first anymore. The district is first. And as a parent, my student is first, which is why I can choose where they go.
Time. Juanita?
No, they shouldn't be required to go to Hanover or Prairie Heights, but it kind of looks bad if they don't. Like with Aiden, if I become a board member and he doesn't go to the school, it just makes everybody wonder, well, why isn't her kid going? It doesn't make any sense.
Thank you. Ross?
As a school board member, you are not required to have any children to go to the school district, because the state of Colorado states that you can take your children to any school district that you want to, as long as you can get them there. Which is a gray line on both sides, because one, it hurts our school's accountability program. Two, you help someone else's out, but it's still your choice. So no, you do not have to have you do not have to have a child involved anywhere in the Hanover School District, according to the state of Colorado.
Scott?
I don't feel that they should be required. My personal opinion is, if I can represent this school district as something that's great, why shouldn't my children go to this district and be enrolled in one of these schools?
Charity?
I kind of feel like this question was directed at me. And I want to say something, because I do believe with all my heart that before a parent goes and takes their kid out, that they should consider the fact that the school's not going to improve if they don't stay involved and fix what is bothering them, or at least try and be an effort in what is bothering them. And yes, I did take my girls out of the high school. I have 2 teenage daughters. And it's not that I won't ever put them back in. I have to feel confident first. But I wasn't ready to step away and not be a part. I still want to help the school district improve. Even if my kids never return to the school district, I want to be a part in making something great out of our community and out of our schools. And no, I do not think that should ever be an option, that the parents have the right to put their kids wherever they want to put them, regardless of whether they're on the board or not.
Thank you. Next question, we'll start with Juanita. If you are elected, what do you hope to see the Board of Education accomplish over the next 4 years?
passing the mill levy, I know I'm saying that over again, I'm so sorry. Being more open with the parents and the teacher and the community as a whole. Being able to make decisions as a whole and not behind a wall. Open, honest. Be more free with everybody in making decisions.
Ross?
If I'm elected in the next 4 years, I would like to see us bless you, sir. I'd like to see you get better transportation for our children, because that is one of the things that we need right now. That is a very hot topic. I'd also like to see the school district improve on some things in security, which there's not a whole lot to improve on, thankfully. And continue the work that our children and our staff is doing and upheld that center of excellence, and I would like to see it continue for the next 4 years also.
Scott?
One is continuous improvement. You know, we're on a really good path right now with being the Center for Excellence and the high test scores and everything. We need to keep that going. We need to become a district that people are proud of, that people want to go to, and to help bridge the gap versus, you know, this side and that side. Make us one solid structure. I mean, we're a community, we're a district, and I think that that's one of the main things that needs to happen, is just bridging the gap and bringing the sense of community to everybody.
Well, I'd like to see our school district become #1 in the state. And yeah, most people might think that's unrealistic, but can't make the impossible happen by being realistic. We can, and I'd like to see improvements with, you know, the curriculums and kids, making it fun for the kids. The kids should be able to be excited to learn, to go to school, and I just don't see that yet. So in the next 4 years, I would like to see that. Just this, all of a sudden, this enthusiasm for learning that is desperately needed with the kids.
New buses. One of Charity's biggest pet peeves, new school playground. Technology, we got to get technology in the school. We got to get more classes for our students. We got great pathways right now, finally, but we need to get more. Get agriculture in here, get home economics, teach some of our girls and boys how to sew, teach them how to cook. We need to ensure that we can keep the teachers that are qualified and good teachers and not lose them like we have in the past.
If elected in the 4 years on the board, I would like to see us develop and implement a robust teacher mentorship and retention program. I'd like to see us transition to a Google Classroom. And I'd like to see us continue to move forward in all assets of the district. Transportation, our facilities, our students' test grades, our staff's ability to teach, your willingness to teach. And I'd like to see that every teacher and every student come in that door happy and willing to be here.
Thank you. Next question, we start with Ross. How can you promote community support to empower the students, create a bond between the students and the elders of the Hanover community?
That's a tough question. I'd like to see a lot more activities where us as a school district can get involved, whether it be something crazy like maybe go to nursing homes and sing Christmas carols to help connect with some of the elderly. I'd also like to see our kids, our children in the school district I'd also like to see them turn around and sometimes think before they react. Because by doing that, then they show the self-discipline that they need to promote themselves later on in life.
Scott?
Can you repeat the question, please?
How can you promote community support to empower the students to create a bond between the students and the elders of the Hanover community?
I know at the high school that's already begun. We invited a lot of the elders and longest residents of the community to the parade for homecoming, and then they were given an award for being the longest, residents out here. More personal invitations to come to events via phone call, whatever lines of communication that they prefer, and making them feel welcome when they do show up.
Charity?
So, the elders, how the students relate to the elders. I think that the elders getting involved with the students and their example is the best way to teach them how to relate.
Yeah.
What Scott was saying is a very good way, and if anybody's been to the basketball games that you have from Edison, the basketball games over there, football games, especially at Edison, the whole community shows up, not just the players' parents. You got them, the elders there, and them ladies bring in pies, and you go sell the piece of pie over there, and they have the whole community gets in there and has a gathering and talks, and they talk about what went on this last week. That is how you do it, is the way Edison did it. You set it up where you get these elder ladies to make a pie. Everybody can make a pie, anybody can, and you draw that community in that way. And the students will get close, they will. Over there at Edison, I've always seen it that way, and I've been out here 23 years, over 23 years.
Dwight?
Could you repeat the question, please?
How can you promote community support to empower the students to create a bond between the students and the elders of the Hanover community?
The key to that is the board has to set that tone. In the Navy, we call it command climate. Every organization has a climate of that organization. And within our organizational structure, the board should set that tone. And if the board has an open and willing tone, that tone's going to kind of drift down to the students. Ways to do that, just like Ed said, Edison's doing it right. Break bread together. There's no better way to come together with one another and learn than to break bread across the table. And as the students see more adults coming together doing that, then of course the students are going to be there. You'll start to see that instead of all the students just congregating together, they're going to start with a little encouragement, sparsing out to where it's not all the students, board members, old, young, Midway, Hanover. We're going to come together as a true community and be able to communicate and just get along.
Juanita?
Well, since Hanover and Midway, has been a community that's not that old, there's a lot of elderly people here that have been here since it began. So their kids, grandkids, and sometimes great-grandkids will go to the schools. It doesn't always mean that we have to go to the schools, or the elderly, to elderly go to the schools to make a difference. The school has the community service program where they have to do 60 hours of community service. I think it'd be great because some of the elders don't get out and they can't get out if the students actually go to them and reach out to them. And it works both ways.
Thank you. questions that were written since we've been sitting here. At the last, we had 4, and then we'll end up with one final question. First question on the card, we'll start, looks like with the wife. What is your motivation to be a servant of the community and serve on the Board of Ed? And if elected, how do you plan to use your motivation to help improve the district?
My motivation of service is, over the span of my life, I've come up with a mantra of service over self. I served my country for 20 years in the U.S. Navy. I currently serve as a state employee as a civil servant. And if elected to the board, I plan to serve the district as a servant. The only way that you can truly achieve is you have to be servant. I will be a servant to the district. How I will get on board with that is I understand policies, I understand procedures, I understand sometimes too well, I understand the policies and procedures. I can be a little too mechanical sometimes, and I'm not always as personable as it could be. But those skills can be blended in so that we can have an effective board, and I can learn to be a lot more personable as I have in the last few years. And just service myself.
Well, as one that enjoys his freedom, I thank you for your service to the country. Anyone else is sitting up here as well. Juanita?
Motivated for the community. I love working with people in the community. I know somebody just about every other mile out here, and I can be counted on most of the time to do most things. I'm real helpful, and the way I serve my community is the same way I want to serve my school and the board, just to be there, be helpful and understanding, and try my best no matter what.
Reread the question, please.
What is your motivation to be a servant of the community and serve on the Board of Education? And if elected, how do you plan to use your motivation to help improve the district?
Well, let's start with the last part of that. My motivation to help improve the district, I mean, I'm currently the PTO president right here at Prairie Heights Elementary School. We are currently planning an event in 2 days over at the high school. It's a health fair. That right there is given the opportunity to boost a little bit of morale here in the community, and so that the community can come out and talk to the people that we have coming. I took that position on, and when I took that on, I never thought of anything about the school board. And then as I see times go on, then I turn around and my motivation swung for, along with the PTO, I want to continue making some kind of effort and improvement in the school district.
Thank you. Scott?
My motivation is the children. Doing everything that we can to make these kids be the best citizens and community members that they can be. The way that I'll go about that on the board is make sure that when I vote, I take into account what is best for our children, what is best for our community, and how can we just maintain a continuous improvement. And just be the best people that we can be and make our children the best that they can be.
Charity?
So why I want to serve the community, be a servant of the community is, well, I feel it's my duty because of my skills and my background in law and business management, for one. And for another is because I love children. And it's this, and there's just this intrinsic value inside of me for doing it that I really can't explain, other than I want to see our community improve. I want to see our community be great. I want to see it become the best. And I think that it starts here with the school board and the school district and having a great school district. So that's why I want to offer my skills and my talents to the community to help out the best I can.
Both parts of that question can be answered with just this. I have 5 kids in this school, and I love children.
Next written question, we'll start with Charity. How do you think board members affect change?
Board members affect change by making sure that their policies that are set are enforced. And so if there is, say there's an issue, the board needs to sit down, come together, write a policy that's going to help the district, if there's not one already, and make sure those policies are enforced.
Policies are written to strengthen a law, just like regulations for the school. Dr. Schmidt writes the regulation after we write the policy. But you can't just come in and just write a policy and do something. You have to make sure that it's something that's legal, something that's going to be beneficial for the children in the district. And then we need to vote on it as 5, and it has to be passed with a majority so that it can be implemented, and then we hand it to Dr. Schmidt to implement.
Could you repeat the question, please?
How do you think board members affect change?
Board members affect change by their actions. How a board member interacts throughout the legislative process of talking about a policy really sets the tone for how the community feels they think about that policy. And it really gives a lot of insight into their character. Now, as I reference that, it's very important, as Ed said, the board is 5 people that come together, and a policy should be well thought out and researched to ensure that, of course, it's legal, falls within line Colorado Revised Statute, doesn't go against Cosby or any of the other governing bodies over us. But the board member's key way to exercise change, I feel, is to be respectful and to be a true conduit of dialogue throughout the whole process.
Since I can't just say ditto, it takes a village. I respect that. As the big picture, knowing there's just 5 of us, but we represent so many more in the community, the teachers, the staff, administration, superintendent, principals. It's a village. And when you condense all those into just 5 people, listening, understanding, compromising, working as a team, that's how it works.
Ross?
Sitting here thinking about it, I'm trying to come up with some way of not duplicating Mr. Swayze or Mr. Smith or Ms. Beasley here, but we are only 5 people. Everything that is brought to us, we have to look into the legal spectrum of everything. We also have to vote on the things that are brought to us. It does have to be carried in a majority. We have this wonderful village out here of over 1,000 voters, and when you turn around and think about 5 people turning around and setting the legislator for the school district, it's a tough question. So we all have to keep an open mind, open ears, and we got to be able to be prepared to do the work to effectively make that change.
Scott?
I believe board members can affect change by being the voice for community members, taking concerns to where people want them taken to, but maybe are afraid to take them themselves or don't want to be known as that guy or that girl. Do what you say you're going to do to the best of your ability, and keep in mind, we're all doing this for the betterment of the children.
Next card in question, we'll start with Scott. It's been said by board members that we need to pay teachers more to get good teachers. But Edison, which is further away, and Ellicott, which is the same distance from town, have a higher school rating than Hanover. In your opinion, is that because of the school board not firing a bad teacher on the superintendent's recommendation, or the superintendent's fault because we don't pay enough? Now, if you want me to read that again, that's all lots of right. Right. So I want to sum it up for you. In your opinion, is the reason that we don't pay teachers more is because the school board did not fire a bad teacher on the superintendent's recommendation, or is it the superintendent's fault because we don't pay them? That's what's on the paper, and I'm not sure.
Wow. I think that the teachers should be paid more. I think one of the problems is that a lot of people have never heard of our community versus your Ellicott, your Edison. You know, we're small and we're kind of not necessarily forgotten, but not really publicized. So I think that's one of the issues as far as getting the teachers in. And you know, we do have teachers that live in town and come out here, and they do it because they love the children. So if we could keep those good teachers and give them some more pay, then I think that that's something that we should definitely look into.
Chair.
Well, I really don't think that when it comes to good or bad, that it's really so much a matter of salary. When it comes to not respecting the superintendent's decision to terminate a teacher, that's another story, because for one thing, I think that it's kind of like a business. If you're owner of a business and you hire a manager, you don't, and you give them specific duties, you don't come and overstep those bounds. If you don't just agree with what that manager is doing in your business, then you go and find a better manager. You don't, I just don't think that's right. It leaves a bad impression on the teachers of what they, as far as respecting the superintendent, it's just wrong altogether. So I can see that if Edison respects their superintendent and does not overrule, then yeah, they're going to be better just because of that.
Edison had a sorry superintendent, just for the record. And it has nothing to do with that. I don't know where that came from, but
I think the question is basically around teacher retention, if I'm reading.
that's how I'm trying to read it. Retention, the teachers, they come out to Hanover, and we've had quite a few over the last 5 or 6 years. They come out here, get their feet wet, learn some things. We send them to a couple of classes, and next thing you know, they go to up here to Manitou Springs. We got a couple up there that get outstanding job, almost double their pay, both of them. They've gone in town and they're getting more money. Why would they come out to Hanover when we're one of the lowest paying in the state? Edison pays better. Our substitute teachers were getting pathetic pay a couple of years ago until Dr. Schmidt put in a new plan and started correcting that problem, along with the board.
The first thing I'd like to say is to rate whether a school district is good or bad on the backs of the teachers is a fallacy and a mistake. The buck stops here with the people that are going to be right here, whoever it is. The board sets that tone, and the board makes or breaks a district based upon their policies. Now, what I would like to see is if we're going to become the district that has a teacher come out here wet behind the ears, learn some good tricks, and then is going to go into the big city and do a great job teaching. If that's the district we're going to be, then that's okay. But we need to prepare ourselves as a district to bring in the best quality young teacher, train them the best we can, and they go out and become the best quality teacher out there. And then Hanover will become the training ground. But we as a district, if that's going to be our model, we have to model after them.
Well, they say that if you love your job, you never have to work another day in your life. That's great, but your ground needs to start somewhere. So if they are learning and getting their feet wet here, that's great, but you'd want them to stay. So yes, they should be paid more. That should be everybody's decision, but the teachers should enjoy their job, and if they don't have the gas to get to work, then they can't enjoy it.
Ross.
Teacher retention is a tough question, just for the simple fact of the matter, when I look at the whole spectrum across the whole United States, with children specifically involved in any school district, I do not feel like they personally get paid enough. So that would be like an open checkbook, unfortunately, to try to keep someone. The problem is, when you think about it in that aspect, we don't have an open checkbook for that kind of stuff. So we have to accept the fact, like Dwight said, you know, it's great that we can get some young teachers out here and teach them stuff and they go someplace else. It'd also be great if we could find some way of paying them some more to keep them a little bit longer. Question really is, how do we come up with that? And that's the question that is going to confuse all of us for the rest of our lives, because there's no way, unfortunately, with the economics the way it is now, that we can do that.
For the record, Edison's last. Last question on the card. From where is the school board's authority ultimately derived? Let me start there.
Our authority. It comes from the federal government, comes to the state, comes from CASB, comes to us, and the citizens of this district. That's our authority.
We're specifically referenced the Colorado Revised Statute. And truly beyond that, our authority comes from our actions.
Copy that. Our authority comes from our actions.
Ross?
I agree with what Mr. Swayze said down there. It comes from the government. It does come from there to the state, from the state to Cosby, to us, and of course, like everybody else has mentioned, our actions in the process.
Scott?
I agree with Ed. You know, we are limited based on laws, regulations, things like that as to how much authority we do have. But our actions, our integrity, and just being the people that are the voice for the children.
Our ultimate authority comes from the United States Constitution, the 10th Amendment. Power to the states, power to the people. But ultimately it's the voters, because essentially we're put in charge by the voters, and we can be removed from office, recalled by the voters. So essentially, our authority comes from the voters.
Thank you. Last question. No more questions from the audience? This is the last one. And let's start with Ross. Assuming you get elected, if you could only accomplish one thing during your tenure, what would it be? And please be specific.
tough, there's so many good things out there. But the one thing that I would definitely like to see during my 4 years on the board is that the school district maintains that center of excellence from the state.
Thank you, Scott.
That we maintain the path that we're going on now, where we're constantly trying to achieve more, to be better, to do better, and to make these children the best that they can be and be one of the best districts in the state.
If I could accomplish one thing, I would want to spread the mentality of just enjoying learning like I do. I enjoy it. I can't stop going to school because I enjoy it. So I'd like to spread that.
That's a really tough question, because there's so many great things about this district, and I'd like to see all of them keep going. But I agree with Scott. I think that would be best right there.
I'd like to see a robust teacher recruitment, mentorship, and retention plan. As I referenced in the question a few ago, if we become the district that will bring on a certain amount of young teachers, and we can, in the back of our minds, know they're going to be here planning on 3 years, if we can train them and give them the adequate tools and resources, some may decide to go to another district for more money, but some may decide, hey, Hanover has a great thing going on, and stay with us. But it appeared within the last 3 years, it seems kind of cyclic. We lose about 1/3 of our staff. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. But as a district, we have to come to grips with that and to realize that it's not a failure because our teachers are learning to be excellent teachers here and going somewhere else. It's still the gift of teaching. What we need to do as a district is assimilate, train, keep, but also understand some will leave, no matter what we do.
That's really tough. 4 years is a long time, and I wouldn't be a very good board member if I didn't accomplish more than one thing. I'm sure everybody up here has that same opinion. I was just trying to be a smart aleck. I think it's just to get Hanover better known with teachers and with our equipment and the playground and the buses and the grades and the teachers. I already said that one. Just to build up what it's already there, just making it better.
Well, that wraps up the questions. Any questions from any of you before I wrap it up?
Yes. Sorry, I have a question. That's
Go ahead.
Charity, you said that your daughter's arm was broke by the playground. How did you resolve it? Huh?
Her leg was broken.
Sorry. Her leg was broken. How did you resolve the situation instead of just pulling them out?
I didn't pull her out when she broke her leg.
Okay, but what led up to that? But why? What other ways could you have resolved it without just?
Okay. So what happened with Sarah was when she was in 2nd grade here, and now she's in the 7th grade. But the reason why I pulled her out was that one of the board members there had a big part on it, and I don't want to go into complete detail, but it added to my concerns about the safety for one thing. But that was my biggest thing, the safety of the meeting that she was having a break to. Her child down to go to school with a bear her and spent her out.
Charity, Juanita, if I can, I'm going to shut that off. That's not what we're here for tonight. You guys can visit it back or whatever. I don't want to be hateful. I'd like to wrap it up by thanking each one of you guys for running for this position on the school board. As a superintendent for 10 years, I was blessed with 10 years of great school boards. A lot of support. I know Dr. Schmidt, I mean, this is not his first rodeo. He fully understands the importance of a school board that works together as a team. I think that's the most important thing that you have to focus on, as far as I'm concerned, is it takes teamwork. You know, Edison's come up several times in discussion tonight. That's a crock over there, right? We did what we do, guys. And that before I stop, I'm going to tell you how that thing started 8 years ago when I got there. Do you know Hanover was a big part of the success of Edison? Were you guys here when Paul McCarty come to me and said, Pat, we don't have enough guys to play football. can we come to Edison? It's my first year there, it was Paul's first year here. And if you know some of the history between Edison and Hanover, in my first 2 months on the job, I thought, Paul, you got to be joking me, right? You want me to get fired today? I mean, I'd like to at least make it to July, right? Let me make it to July, go back to feeding cattle, no big deal. But I don't want to get axed today. So then I thought, no, you know what, I'm going to go in, I'm going to tell my school board this is going to happen because it's about children. It's about the Hanover kids, it's about the Edison kids, it's about the kids on the Western Slope. It's about the kids in Puerto Rico trying to put their houses back together. It's about kids that lost parents in Las Vegas yesterday. It's about children. So I like to tell the story. I know Dr. Schmidt wasn't here. Some of you guys were, though. If you remember, and I'll never forget Johnny's mom, whatever her name is, and Johnny, what's her name? Had Johnny, the big kid, remember?
Johnny Johnson.
Yeah, Johnny Johnson. She had to be one of the biggest supporters of football, right? So the first 4 games, when we show up, I guarantee you can see a line between Edison and Hanover. Edison had his problems, Hanover had his problems, and I mean, if there was 10 foot between them, there was 20, but you could definitely see Hanover people and Edison, couldn't you? Now, Hanover or Edison was going through their problems. They'd hired a dumb guy to come in and be superintendent, didn't really know what he was doing. So, the 5th game, if you remember the t-shirts, what'd they say? We added a little bit of sting or something like Eagles have added a little bit of sting or something. So they took our logo and put a hornet on it. And at the 5th ball game, you could not tell the difference between Edison and Hanover. They all wore the same shirts. They all cheered for the same kids. It was the best thing that I've ever done in my educational career. And I was blessed to see it. You guys come to our prom that year. We had a dance over there. We had a dance over here. And that was the turning point for Edison. That was the turning point, working together as a team. It was 2 different school districts, but we came together for kids and we worked together as a team. That was a turning point for Edison. So keep that in mind when you're running for school board, when you're here to support this guy. That's what it takes, guys. So I start every board meeting for 8 years at Edison. Whenever you make a decision tonight, guys, it better be based on children. I start the board meetings at BOCES the same way. Thank you, and I appreciate you guys running because I know the kids need you for sure. Thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, he did his time, he got out.